Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, Kentucky, Louisville to be specific. Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of The Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM network. My name's Brian Engelman, and I welcome you back to another special episode of Strictly Browns. This is where we talk only about the Cleveland Browns, and yes, last season was full of hopes and dreams and expectation, and wow, did that disappoint. I am pleased to be joined with Brandon Odell, a gentleman I've known for a long time. Brandon, welcome back to the show, good sir. Great to have you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, man, you know, I had a whole different show planned, probably when we were talking about this, you know, several days ago, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks. But I guess let's start where we have to. And I think we need to talk about the injuries. There have been some significant injuries, and it's really taken a lot out of me. I always anticipate an undefeated Super Bowl season, but man, losing our middle linebacker, losing Delpit, man, walk us through what we know and what we do now.
I think that your sentiment about feeling deflated, I would definitely second that emotion. The Delpit injury really hurt me the most because it just seemed that he was the player out of anyone that was really primed to make a big difference for our team this year. In a spot that, you know, we certainly saw several years ago when Demarius Randall was playing very well, what a big difference a stud safety at the back end of your defense makes. And certainly in our division, you know, you think about some of the, you know, stud safeties that have been around over time, such as Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed in most recent years. Certainly there's a problem with Earl Thomas there in Baltimore, but that's a story for another day. Yeah, Delpit just really seemed like he was poised to have a huge role on this defense. Everything that I had heard was that they had actually been basically arranging their packages to suit his skill set, and so you know, this is a loss. I don't necessarily know that I would put it at the same level of, well, I mean, it's not, because he's not. Myles Garrett's loss when we lost him for the final 6 games of the year completely devastated our defense, and to know that now we're going to be without Delpit for the entire year. Even though he was a rookie, I think that it's definitely deflating, to say the least.
And then let's go to the linebacking core. You know, how severe is the knee injury with our middle linebacker? How bad is this one? Because obviously with Delpit, a ruptured Achilles, that's savage. You know, that's the type of thing players sometimes just cannot come back from. It used to be Tommy John surgery for Major League Baseball pitchers. Just the Achilles, it's a really important part of what you need to stay quick, and we're watching Kevin Durant deal with that now. But I mean, what do we make about the knee injury?
You know, I mean, they've been pretty tight-lipped about it, so it's really like more and more information is coming out that it may not necessarily be season-ending, that there's not necessarily ligament damage and stuff like that, the kind of things that require surgery. But there has been very, very little talk from Berea based upon what I've heard in terms of any kind of a timeline for Mack Wilson's return. I think of Mack Wilson, I mean, I certainly had hoped that he would be an excellent playmaker on defense, but really where his loss was going to be felt was going to be, apparently he was taking on a very vocal leadership role, and pretty much, I guess, trying to become the Christian Kirksey of the defense, that heart and soul kind of a guy. And so you ask yourself, who on that defense now would step up to take that role? And I mean, I guess you would always like the answer to be Myles Garrett, but I just don't necessarily know that type of role has ever been in Myles Garrett's DNA, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be every single guy that's the vocal, outspoken leader, and a lot of times that comes from your linebacking core. But we don't have that guy in our locker room right now to be that person that really is not afraid to talk, to get in a guy's face, and to tell him what he needs to do to make the team better. So that's what I question is where that leadership is going to come from. And I guess hopefully we get Mack Wilson back sooner rather than later. But the idea that we are going to have him ready for Baltimore obviously is out the window. I would probably think of him as being a guy that would be, they haven't put him on IR yet. So maybe week 5, week 6, we might see him back.
Yeah, we can hope. Obviously, the middle linebacker, I guess outside backer too. The linebacker position was. Why did this
she takes 2 prescriptions.
Mute?
Kate's son Jack takes
Sorry
1
about
too.
That. What is this?
Kate works hard and thought she had good insurance.
Huh.
But she still paid.
Oh, that was unpleasant.
Yeah, apparently Kate didn't have good insurance.
Luckily, the Browns probably do have good insurance. Well, no, I mean, I was saying that the middle linebacker and the outside linebacker position were probably the 2 positions, the areas on the team that probably had the least experience, the most question marks. Now, oh my Lord, is this
Looks
starting
like
again?
Got a prescription fill. Any idea how much
I
that's
gotta
going
leave
to
this
cost?
site.
The
Sorry,
exact same
Dog
drug
Pound
that's
Daily,
$10
but
at this pharmacy.
we can't keep doing this. Anyway, I'll close this out. I was just going to say, Carl Joseph, M.J. Stewart, Terrence Mitchell, all missed practices. Kevin Johnson missed with a lacerated liver, and now they're reporting that Greedy Williams has a new shoulder injury. So, I mean, it's looking like our defensive backs are in probably the worst shape of all. But what about Greedy Williams? What do we know about him and his injury now?
Once again, not heard much other than it's a shoulder. So, I mean, I guess you just kind of hope that it's one of those like day-to-day things. But I guess those are the kind of things that can lead to nagging injury. So, I mean, I guess in a way, maybe it's because we always get our hearts broken for a season opener anyway, and so maybe this idea that we're going to have some guys hurt for Baltimore, maybe you just kind of are saying, well, we probably weren't going to win anyway, so let's just get them healthy for some of the games that we can have a better shot at. But I hate saying that. I mean, we went into Baltimore last year and beat them.
We whooped them. We didn't just eke one out, or we got them by 4 or 10 or 11 or something like that. We whooped them.
No, we whooped them. It was their best game of the season.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The injuries are very deflating. Very deflating. I right now feel as down on the team as like I felt in like week 8 last year when like everything had pretty much fallen apart and they were in the midst of a 4-game losing streak or whatever.
Well, look, Kevin Johnson's out of the hospital with the lacerated liver. Nick Chubb has been cleared after his concussion. They're back. I mean, so I guess how about this one? Let's talk about a different subject. Obviously, the injuries. Either it's going to be COVID or it's going to be injuries. I mean, the name of the game in football is next man up. It's super cliche, but a lot of cliches and stereotypes exist for a reason. It's because it's the way things are. And I saw Kevin Stefanski was talking about that. So I guess, do you have any early thoughts on Kevin Stefanski? Have you been checking out any of the footage, any of the Cleveland Browns daily reporting or the sideline coverage? Obviously different without fans there to participate. But do you have any takeaways on what you've seen from the coach, or how the team's been interacting with the media and with each other?
No, absolutely no issue whatsoever with the job that Stefanski has been doing at all. He's been doing a really good job. However, I would have thought I would have said the same thing this time last year when we were speaking about Freddie Kitchens. So you're in that honeymoon phase, and Freddie Kitchens. Remember all the different sayings from last year that were considered, and and now the dude is completely gone and out of football right now. So I'm going to truly reserve any kind of judgment for Kevin Stefanski until I see something on the field. So I'm not going to allow myself to, I guess what you would say is maybe like fall in love with a coach the way that I have before, until I can see if there's actually something that he's going to do that's different. So we'll see.
Well,
can he get the most out of Baker Mayfield?
I have some thoughts on that, and I think that we're in a good position, because what I've said from the beginning is, if you're going to take some long shots, go ahead, take your long shots, but you got to place them, and you got to have your outlet valve. You have to have your dump-off option really close and ready and available. Throw it at somebody's feet if it doesn't materialize, or if there's a strong pass rush. But really, Baker's going to be the best version of Baker when he's handing off the ball to either Chubb or to Kareem Hunt half of the time, and then throwing the dump-offs to the tight ends. I mean, they run a lot of tight end sets in Minnesota. They're going to be doing that here. And you got wide receivers with Odell Beckham and with Jarvis Landry that can go over the middle. Then they can go deep. They can do it all. Hooper can go deep. There's a lot of different options on this team. But for me, I think the key is going to be getting the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands fast. Less of the rolling. He really developed a bit of a tendency to roll and kind of get antsy in the pocket, but that's because the pocket sucked. So I guess on the flip side, we haven't heard anything about that offensive line or any injuries there. Let's knock on wood. But yeah, I think the way that the Vikings ran it with Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen and what they were doing up there, I feel like we're in position to do something good. The reports with Freddie Kitchens were we'd game plan for a certain strategy all week, and then we got to the game, they were calling plays that weren't in the game plan. It wasn't what they prepped the entire week on. And it led to a team with a lack of identity, with confusion as to what they were preparing for. And a lot of long shots and misses and low accuracy. So, my hunch is that this is going to be a really good coach to take on this team. But, time is going to tell. I don't know. Brandon, did you ever go to the practices? Did you ever go to the training camps and stuff? Was that a big part of what you did back in the day?
No, it wasn't. We actually tried to get tickets last year, and they were sold out when I tried to get in the queue to be able to do it. And then the plan was, we'll just get them this year, and then obviously not. So I have never been to the Berea facility for a practice before, and definitely would have enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. I never really did much. We practiced there with my high school team when we were in the playoffs. Like, we got to go in there and practice on the indoor turf. It was really neat. But no,
Playoffs?
Talk about playoffs. I just hope we can stop getting injured. Well, I don't know, man. So obviously injuries are the story, the number one thing we're trying to deal with here. What else are some of your thoughts drifting to? We're getting close. What are we, less than 2.5 weeks away from the start of the football season? Are you surprised that it seems to be all systems go?
No, it really seems like the NFL, and I guess just about every major sports league has taken every precaution that you can possibly take. And at some point, this apparently has to be something that we need to learn how to play with rather than shelter from, because it's not going anywhere. The NFL is doing their best to, I guess, try to deliver a product. So, I mean, I think that they're doing a pretty good job in terms of the precautions in place. Everything I've heard is that basically the team is in a bubble, maybe not to the same extent of the NBA or something like that, but I mean, yeah, I have no issue whatsoever with the precautions that the NFL has tried to put in place for its players.
Yeah. Schools are coming back. Sports is coming back. Obviously, the Buckeyes and the Big Ten, that's another story. But, we're going to stay strictly Browns here, although I'm really disappointed about that. And I have a great idea that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson should hire all the Buckeyes to be an Ohio XFL team. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So that's kind of what we have with the Browns. They're playing. They're getting injured. It's a new coaching staff. And I am excited for it. I mean, sports has been weird without fans. Have you been taking in any of the different stuff that's going on, from NASCAR to golf to basketball to baseball? Have you been taking anything in? And do you find it weird to be without fans?
It's definitely weird to watch baseball without the fans and stuff like that. I'm not a huge golf fan, but what was it, the PGA Championship a few weeks ago? I had watched some of that, and I actually found that to be really fascinating, because you actually got to see what the course looks like if you were actually playing it, versus like having like fans on the sides in all directions and stuff like that. You really got like a good view of the landscape and what the natural beauty of the course looked like. And so I think that that's kind of a neat thing. I mean, obviously you want to have fans no matter what in any of the sports, because that's what it's for, and this is my same thought in terms of like concerts and stuff like that. Like, it's the shared experience of being around other people and all being at an event together is part of the fun. And so, that's what the players, the fans, we're all missing out on when we're having to do it this way. But, I think that long story short, everyone is doing as much as they can to make it a good product. No matter what, there are going to be things that are odd. Certainly, as you mentioned with the Big Ten, it is far better than no football at all. I will imagine that will be the case. But I wonder how the guys really get pumped up, especially in football. That's an adrenaline game more than any other. So that'll be interesting to see how that can occur.
Actually, and I think part of the Browns' problem last year was that the Cleveland Browns were too pumped up. They were too into themselves. They were doing too many commercials. They were talking too much drama from everywhere, from the spaghetti or the Cheesecake Factory to, it was nonstop. It was nonstop. And I feel like
what was the Cheesecake Factory one?
Oh, well, that was a story about Mr. Baker Mayfield and some activities behind the facility with a certain someone. Oh, you had to have heard that. I won't repeat the rumors here. Yeah, a little infidelity issues going on. There was an alleged incident. But the point is that it seemed like their focus was not there. Their focus was lacking. With Case Keenum being on the team in the quarterback room, with Baker, and having had experience with Kevin Stefanski and the Vikings in this system, do you think this is a big deal? Do you think that for a young quarterback, third year in the league, do you think having somebody with a lot of experience in a system is a really big plus? Or do you think it probably at this level doesn't do much? It's up to the player himself and that guidance and mentorship isn't really as important as some people make it out to be.
Oh, I mean, I think that anytime you have an extra set of eyes and ears from someone you trust in the room, that's absolutely never a bad thing. So, yeah, I am absolutely a fan of having Case Keenum in the room to help out Mayfield.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and some people who are really down on Baker think the Case is going to be the starter after the bye week. You know, I can't even entertain such lunacy at this point. But you know, I do think it will be helpful to have him there to help get him up to snuff on stuff. By the way, you know, we were talking about season tickets prior to the show a couple days ago. Did the Browns announce if they're having fans? Because I'm seeing some stadiums. I just saw yesterday the Chargers and Rams said no fans, and then I saw the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. They said a fifth capacity, about 18,000 fans, give or take. Do we know what the Browns are doing? Did they announce that yet? Did I miss that?
I think based upon what I saw actually just in the last, like earlier today, as a matter of fact, I think that they're trying to have a quote-unquote like safe reopening plan where they will have a stadium that has like 20% fans, but no tailgating. You're buying tickets in pods, like up to 10 people that you like are there with. So yeah, that's everything that I've heard. So yeah, that they are going to try to have someone there.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, we're getting down to the wire. I'll expect that official announcement to be coming out soon, and I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see how many teams go ahead and bring people in. I'll be curious to see if Major League Baseball lets some of their fans back in. I mean, I think the NBA's decided they're going with their bubble. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, this has been an unprecedented, the weirdest sports year in our lifetimes, maybe in the history of sports, at least modern day sports. Never has everything just shut down, and we're all trying to figure out what that looks like when it comes back. And you know, luckily, with more and more testing, you know, we're seeing fewer and fewer percent. The percentage of deaths and hospitalizations is dropping as we're finding out more and more people have actually had this. So many asymptomatic people. You know, I did see like 600 students at University of Alabama just got tested positive, but you know, for young, healthy people, it's not. You know, it's not quite as monstrous as people had feared in the beginning. So, you know, those are good signs. Those are good signs, and I hope we're able to continue the path toward getting back to some semblance of normalcy. Well, yeah, man, you know, this was a bit of a bummer of a show just because of the injuries. You know, disappointment. You know, everybody was so high on Grant Delpit, and I liked Mack Wilson a lot. I thought from watching him and the stuff I saw about him, he seemed to be fundamentally sound. He seemed to do a really good job at Alabama. He seemed to be a cerebral player and a vocal leader, and I felt like he could have stepped in and done an admirable job. If not spectacular, I felt like he could have been strong and consistent and stable to let the superstars like the Myles Garrett and then the Denzel Ward do their thing on the front side and the back side. But, you know, I mean...
Let the big dogs eat.
Let the big dogs eat. All right, man. Well, do you have any other thoughts on the Cleveland Browns right now? Obviously, we have a couple more weeks to, you know, implement some stuff. I guess, you know, the scrimmages or the preseason games are not happening. You know, like we get like 4 dress rehearsals, probably 3.5 dress rehearsals. We're not going to have that. But is there anything else on your mind about the team, about the roster, about the rest of the league, about anybody else in our division, any other random NFL thoughts?
Okay, so let's try to have some a little bit of positivity here.
Yes.
First of all, the injuries, with the exception of Nick Chubb, and overall, it seems like that was I don't want to say that any concussion is minor, but you know, there are concussions that put guys out for months at a time, and that doesn't appear to be what occurred here. So Nick Chubb is a player that is like he is one of the 5 or 6 spokes in the wheel that if you lose him, that your wagon gets pretty unstable and ready to crash. Right. I don't necessarily think that because of Delpit's status as a rookie and because of Mack Wilson being a largely unproven player that nobody really in the national perspective was really counting on to be some kind of a star. Maybe we need to take a step back and say maybe it's not quite as horrible as what we thought. The players that we're counting on offense right now are all healthy. And your 2 biggest name stars on defense are obviously going to be Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, both of whom are healthy right now. I know that Myles Garrett was held out of a few practices last week, but they hold out veterans in training camp all the time. So he is going to be ready to go after obviously losing him for that 6-week period. So that is a good thing. And then you go a step further, and on offense, you say Odell Beckham Jr. is supposed to be physically doing better than he's been in 3 years, and supposedly just looks like an absolute grown man out there when he's going against the defense. Jarvis Landry, also back maybe a little bit sooner than what was expected. Austin Hooper is supposedly looking real good for us. And then the rookie Harrison Bryant, who was, what was he, a 4th-round pick? He is exceeding expectations in all ways in terms of how quickly he is picking up the offense and really ingratiating himself to Kevin Stefanski and the offensive staff. So he is going to be a player that's going to be hard to keep off the field. So if that's the case, think about it this way. If I were to tell you that we got the Mackey Award winner as the nation's top tight end as a 2nd-round pick, and that he's having a great camp, and that he is setting himself up to really challenge a Pro Bowl player for playing time, you would probably say, that's awesome. That's real offensive depth. And then you look at Njoku and you kind of wonder, well, maybe where does he fit in? So I guess in that way, you maybe look at somebody like Harrison Bryant as being kind of like that true, like, 2nd-round pick that, and maybe you just look at Grant Delpit as just being money in the bank for next year. Still leaves our defense in a bad way, and we need to find a way to be able to replace that on the back end. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is that right now, offensively, all of the pieces that we really need to be in place are in place, and we've had a few surprises besides. I know J.C. Treader has been out. Everything I'm hearing is that we're expecting him back for week 1, but the guy, Nick Harris, the rookie there, supposedly is playing really well. And hasn't been noticed out there, which for a rookie offensive lineman is probably the best thing. Jedrick Wills, I guess, is being noticed, but you're also going against Myles Garrett in practice every single day. So you're probably going to get made a fool every now and then by Myles Garrett, because dude, when he's really turning it on, is a top 5 defensive player in football. So there are things to glean from all of this as positives. It's just we obviously are always used to doom and gloom, And it has never failed us before to expect doom and gloom and then have doom and gloom be delivered to us. But the offense is very much behind the defense in terms of production. And I guess you just hope that that we can hand the ball off 35 times week one versus Baltimore. Somehow we can find a way to stop Lamar Jackson, because that's going to be the tallest order. And then you see if you can take some shots downfield with Odell and with Jarvis, and maybe you got something.
Man, I like that. You got me feeling all sorts of things right now. That's way more positive. We should have led with that. See, I think next time we gotta let you come in hot. That was a good, but okay. Full disclosure. If you would have started the show, the biggest story is the injuries, right? But by
far.
Yeah, I want to make sure we were in agreement there. But man, I almost wish we would have started with yours. It was so positive. You're so right to say that. If we have a offensive lineman with, Jedrick back there, don't you want him going up against someone like Myles Garrett, really working, like making him? That's got to make you better when you're arm wrestling the champ.
There are, I would say, 3 other defensive ends in football that would be giving him the same level of look as what Myles Garrett can give. You think definitely Khalil Mack.
How many of them are Bosa's? How many Bosa's get in that list?
2 of them. So definitely one. But Khalil Mack and the Bosa's would probably be the answer there. So he's going to be made a fool by Myles Garrett, and then you just say to yourself that if I can survive this, I'm going to probably be able to fare pretty well against more I guess what you would consider to be average NFL competition.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that anymore. And I'm just, once again, we have covered this in the past, but, more good news. It's not new news, but, just to remember that the Browns really made the effort and Myles is on board and that they re-upped their contract, making him the highest paid defensive player at the time. That's just, it's great to know that we're putting the cornerstone pieces together on this thing. And now we really have to get we have to get the performance out of Baker Mayfield that we expected. We saw the glimpses in year one, a really rocky second season. But I think some change in leadership was definitely needed. I think some stability and locking it in, because that's going to help the line too. Extra tight ends. It gives you a lot of opportunities to block and hold down the fort. And I'm wondering if we're not working the phones right now, seeing if we can't move Njoku for a linebacker or a defensive back, somebody that might not fit into the salary cap situation, maybe where they've had rookies coming up and making somebody expendable, maybe a veteran that can step in and play, a smart player. Especially if Harrison Bryant is coming on this strong, knowing how the Njoku thing got weird and he, the agent asked to get him out of town and they said, no, after that all hit the fan. I wonder, you don't see a ton of trades in the NFL for some reason. You see a lot of roster moves, but you don't see a lot of trades. But I'm just kind of wondering, as the season progresses, if we're a piece away, I feel like Njoku's got to be the thing that we're dangling out there for anybody that needs a tight end. Because, he's a project and he has room to improve, but he's shown glimpses of moments, so, that's just something to keep an eye on. Are there any names that you've seen in the free agent market or, potential trade bait? Is anybody standing out to you as particularly interesting to keep our eye on, or someone you wish we might be able to pry away from another team with the right trade bait?
I've heard nothing, so I really have no idea who would be available. So I think we're just gonna have to, I guess, wait and see.
All right, man. So, all right. Well, then let's wrap this up today for Strictly Browns. That was a nice one. It took us on a bit of a roller coaster. I appreciate you coming in here, man. And man, I'm excited for football. I'm excited that you don't have what the Big Ten did. All right, fine. Final question. I know it's strictly Browns, but bonus question since we're done. Any final thoughts on the Big Ten canceling their season, and if you think there's any chance or hope, or would you like to see the Buckeyes try to pull out of the conference or do something to play? Do you think they could play in January? I'm a big Buckeye fan, and this is really tough for me right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I guess, you know, you say it's the wrong move until you start to see teams down south end up having to cancel games and you know, have to hospitalize players and stuff. So I guess, you know, let's just hope that that it doesn't come to that, because ultimately it's about the fact that you have 50, 60, 70,000 other kids on campus. And you know, you can't really live in a bubble the same way you can in the NFL. So I just hope everyone is healthy. And I was bummed about the Buckeyes too, but you know, let's face it, you can make this issue political or anything like that if you want to, and certainly there seems to be a true divide in terms of, you know, the red state, blue state thing, where some of the schools that have canceled versus some of the schools that have chosen to play. But the fact of the matter is that none of these schools in the Big Ten made this decision lightly in any way, nor did the schools in the Pac-10. They're losing a hell of a lot of money, and they know that. And frankly, money talks, whether you're red or you're blue. So you know, I truly hope that the teams that are playing are able to get through their seasons, and absolutely wish that the Big Ten and the Pac-10 had chosen to see what else was out there and what else was available for them to do. But I guess ultimately, if at the end of the day you truly say that you are 100% committed to player safety, and that in your mind that's how you are that's how you are demonstrating that. I'm in these weird times that we're living in, I guess I can't truly find a real argument to say, yeah, but. So if what they're trying to say is that we're going to keep players safe, even if it means we're going to lose billions of dollars, I hope that they're right.
Time is going to tell, good friend. Time is going to tell on that. We're definitely getting, you know, a lot like, you know, watching different states take different measures. You know, that the United States is set up. We're kind of like 50 separate little countries within a, you know, the United States component of what we are, and watching different states handle COVID, handle this outbreak in different ways. You know, we learned a lot of what to do and a lot of what not to do from watching different people try different things. And in the college sports world, we're going to get to see. We're going to get to compare the SEC to the Big Ten. And, man, I just, you know, it's a bummer. I can do a whole show on it, you know, having the best recruiting class this year and probably preseason favorites to go back to a championship. But time will tell, man. Well, look, dude,
time will tell.
Let's try to check back in, you know, sometime between now and the season. You know, once some roster moves have happened, we'll get a little further through training camp, maybe get some different news, different updates, hopefully good stuff. And, yeah, we're on the fast track now to the season starting. Thank God. I'm so excited for football.
It's happening soon.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I gotta go. I gotta go pick up my kid here. So, all good things for the Browns from here on, and we'll see what happens.
All right, buddy. You have a great night. Thanks for joining me today. You take care.
All right.
All right, everybody. There goes Brandon Odell. Want to thank him for joining the program. Yeah, I've had a lot. There's been a lot on my mind lately. You know, not necessarily all sports related. Another big story that came up today, all the NBA teams are forfeiting their game today. I don't know if I really feel like discussing all of that stuff. let's just say, let's not. We'll leave it at strictly Browns. We'll just pause right there. I'll come back. I'll talk to you on another level. Maybe on an agree to disagree show. I'll post this one on the Unhappy Hour sports show YouTube page. And then maybe on the New American Media YouTube page, I'll give you something else. I've just been following what's been happening in Kenosha. And and being here in Louisville, like all day yesterday, was lots of gatherings and anger and fear and disruption. I want football. I want football to be back. I want football to unite our country. I want football to I feel like football means something. And it's going to be tough. Let's just face it. It's going to be tough if we come back and it's back to the kneeling and all this other stuff. I know. Read a report that they're just going to get rid of the national anthem now. I don't know how that unites our country. It's been hard. It's been hard for a lot of people trying to still stay sports fans when it's turned into, like Brandon said, like how college football's turned into a political issue or pro football's turned into a political issue. It's pretty baffling, but it's also probably expected. That's just hashtag 2020. That's where we are. I'm not particularly happy about that, but it is what it is. So we'll stop it for now. Join us on all the platforms. Not Facebook, though. Facebook, we're on a week now. Our account's been disabled, and we've had no conversation with them, no understanding of what happened, how to remedy, how to fix the glitch. We're just disappeared off Facebook. So we started a new Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R account for the New American Media. Might do one for the Unhappy Hour. I'm going to test out the platform, see if I like it. On Twitter, we're at @TheUnhappyHour_. Check out our homepage, TheNewAmericanMedia.com. I believe on the right-hand side, you'll see our documentary called Football Equals Family, the story of the Cleveland Browns' perfect season parade. If you like what we do, if you like the content that we're putting out, I would ask that maybe you go ahead and... Well, I don't have one of the pins in front of me. I'll have to correct that for next show. But we have collector's pins. Pins, kind of like the Kentucky Derby pins, like the Disney pins, the collector pins. Only 100 made. Probably only get rid of only let 50 out the door. We're probably up to about 20. And they're donations. They're fundraisers for our graphic designer. So it's a minimum $25 donation. If you like what we're doing and want to support us, just leave a comment, and we'll tell you how to send us over some cash, Venmo or PayPal or something, and we'll drop one in the mail to you. And $20 of every $25 minimum $25 donation will go to our graphic designer for creating the logo for us, because we appreciate him. So I appreciate you for checking us out. We hope to have you again soon, and I really look forward to breaking down stat sheets, highlight reels, Jimmy Donovan calls. It's going to be weird with them getting excited with nobody in the stands. Well, some stadiums are going to have fans. I hope the Browns have fans. You got to have fans. Stop it. Just have fans. Enough with this already. Go Browns. Talk to you later.